What's your priority? That's a question that I've been asking, that not really asking myself. This has been way I've been trying to decide on what to focus on in life. Because if you don't have a priority, you kind of like all over the place. And this kind of leads to what I've talked about before about not spending your life at your job or at this or at that. Really, what is your priority? And different people have different priorities. There's nothing wrong if your priority is your job. If that's what you want your priority to be, I can't say nobody can say anything about that. If your priority is your family, nobody can say anything about that. It's everybody's personal question. Everybody has to have their own answer for it. And the reason why I'm asking this now is because this is a conversation I've actually had with quite a few people over the past probably few months. And I've had a number of videos on this topic, mainly about work and like I don't answer my phone and things like that. So the reason why I'm saying this is because when I'm thinking about this, I'm like, in 20 years, 30 years, it's like when I retire, in 30 years my dog is bumping my camera. In 30 years, I will be 68 years old. And I'm thinking like, okay, when I'm 68, my son will be 33. He might have kids, he might not, he might be married, he might not, I don't know. But when I'm 68 years old, what am I going to wish that I did more of? I mean, when I'm 68, I hope to have a good 30, 40 years on top of that to go. I mean, I'm not saying 68's into my life. I do not want that to be. So, I'm thinking, but when I retire, what am I going to say? Man, over the past 30 years, I wish I would have done more of blank. And to me, I know one thing. It's going to be, I wish I spent more time with my puppies. Because one, they won't be here. And then it's also going to be probably, I wish I'd spent more time with my son. Because probably at that time when he's 33, he's probably moved out. And if not, me thinking now, I'm thinking, I had moved out already. I wasn't married, but I'd already moved out. And it's one of those things, it's like, he's probably moved out. And it's going to be like, well, I'd love to spend more time with him. And I know for a fact that the last thing I'm going to say I spent more time was working. So, I'm looking at it as what do I want to spend my, so knowing that, what is my priority now? So, I have to work, I have to be able to make money, I have to be able to support my family, I have to be able to pay bills. So, I'm going to work. But I'm not going to work more than what's required. And it's one of those things like, well, you're not going above and beyond and doing all this and that. And I don't remember where I saw it. And like everybody, like I was reading, I don't know if it's on Reddit or some other website, in the comments, it was like, number 3, this most definitely number 3, listen to it. And what number 3 was, the third thing in their list, it's like top 10 things to know about jobs or the job market. And it said, don't fall for the carrot on a stick. And it gave an explanation of what it was. And that was, if you buckle down and work hard, then you'll advance. But many places I've worked, they have a cap. Like, even if you get promoted, there's a cap on how much of a raise you can get. And say, like if you go from the mailroom to the CEO of the company, you can only, I think it's like, this is like EDS. I used to work at EDS. And there was a 10% raise. That's the max you could go. If you went from the lowest, I mean, like janitor in the crappiest place to the CEO of the company, 10% raise. That's it. So if you actually advanced, I can't remember who it was, like they showed it was actually bad to advance in that company that way, to work low and then work your way up. That was the worst way to do it, because you'd be making less than everybody around you. So it's like you have to basically come in from the outside and get the high salary that's for that job. So that's what the article was saying. Employers want you to make them the priority of your job, because if your job is your priority, then you're going to work a lot more. And I try not to fall for that. I have in the past, and if you want to, I've made quite a few number of videos on that, and it's just not something that I'm going to do. I'm not going to put work before my family, my dogs, my wife, things like that. So, because in 30 years, I'm not going to say I wish I worked more. Don't get me wrong. There are probably people out there that can say that. They can say, if they don't get a full day's work in, they feel bad. Okay? I get a full day's work in every Monday to Friday. And it's one of those things, it's like, after that 8 hours, working more isn't going to help you any. And that's what I think people forget. This is my perspective on everything, and the reason why I don't do it. So if you do, and that's what you like, no, not saying anything bad about you. I'm just as for me. If I'm getting paid to work 40 hours a week, and then it's like, oh, well, you need to work more. Okay. So the 41st hour, I'm still making what I made at 40 hours. So I'm making less. So then every hour I work more. So if you work 60 hours in a week, that means for that week, your salary dropped by like 50%. This is off the top of my head, so if I'm wrong, forgive me, but probably not. But not maybe a quarter or something. I can't remember what the math is. But like if you make $100,000 a year, or we'll say you work 60 hours a week versus 40. So if you make $100,000 a year working 40 hours a week, but if you work 60 hours a week, you've worked 50% more, but you haven't made any more. Yeah, my brain doesn't want to do math right now. Sorry. But so you're making less money per hour. That's what I mean. But then I've heard people say, "But I don't work hourly. I work salary." And every time people may hear that, I say, "Well, that's all well and good, but try to work less than 40 hours and see if that argument holds up." Because they don't mind you working more than 40 hours, but if you work under 40, they don't like that. So what is the purpose of my question? What's your priority? And the purpose of it is for people to think and to look at, not to just be in the rat race. Make sure that you're not going to have regrets in 30 years. I mean, I've known many people that go their entire life. They wake up, go to work, come home, eat, watch some TV, go to bed, and then they do it over again. And they do that every day, sometimes 6-7 days a week. And the only time off they have is for a 1 week vacation. And later in life, they're like, I worked all that time, and my kids are grown. My dog is kicking my camera, so I moved it. But yeah, look, my kids are grown. Me and my wife are older. They can't get around as good as they used to. And it's like, now that they want it, that they have the time, their kids don't. Their kids have their own families. They can't just drop everything and go hang out whenever. They can go on the weekends. So it's like, what do you do? At that point, it's too late. So try to think about it now. And if you have your own business, and you're like, I'm building this business up so that I can pass it down to my kids. I'm building this business up to provide for my family. That is great. That is a great thing to do. The only thing I can say is, what you're giving up, is it worth what you're gaining? If the answer to that question is yes, then you're not doing anything wrong. If you're thinking, wait a minute, I'm missing my kids' childhood, I'm missing this, I'm missing that, then you may really want to rethink what you're doing and try to think about what's your priority and really follow that. Sorry, this is kind of a deeper topic than I normally talk about, but it's something I've had a lot of conversations with people recently about, and especially with younger people. And it's like, their child is a few months old, a year old, and they work a lot, because it's like, well, we now have a third mouth to feed. I have to work more. I have to do this. I have to do that. Okay. Are you working more to, like, it's one of those things that I don't like to call people out on things, but I've noticed that some people I've known growing up, that's like, well, they have a child, but they want to buy a new car. They want to have like the 4,000 channels on TV with all the premium channels. They want to move to a bigger house. And it's like, okay, the child didn't bring in all those extra bills. A lot of that you're bringing on yourself. So think about it. It's like, yeah, you're working more hours and you're getting all this extra cool stuff, but you are missing your child's those years of your child. I mean, my son is 3 years old now, and I was here every day with him. I was going to school, and every single day I was with him, and I miss it. He's running around talking to me. it's great seeing the way it is now, but I think, wow, 3 years passed that quick. And then I'm like, 3 more years are going to pass very quickly. And I'm thinking, the next 30 years, that's not as long a time as you probably think. But sorry if I brought you down. It's not my intention. It's just one of those things. Make sure you know what your priorities are, and try to fulfill and try to make sure that your priorities get taken care of. The other things kind of fall into place if you do that. Well, hope you enjoyed my video. I hope you had a good day. Talk to you tomorrow.